And we're going to play a short video, so if you could cue us up there for this while I introduce the next speaker.
You sit on it, you wear it, you use it, you listen to it, you play with it, you talk on it, you drive it. From paperclips to spaceships, our lives are full of it, and it's called plastic.
Plastic is a remarkable product. It's everywhere, and we keep thinking of new ways to use it. The problem is how we dispose of this plastic once it's reached the end of its useful life. What we do with this unused plastic is key to the future of this planet.
We've now revealed by 2050 there'll be more plastic in the oceans than fish.
Only 80% of plastic consumed is not recycled.
Around 40% ends up landfill.
Plastics are clogging the water.
Carbon emissions are on the increase.
We face the problem of our oceans being full of plastic. The fish are eating the plastic, and we and other animals in the food chain are eating the fish. This is a problem for all of us right now.
The entire team at Foy has come together to work with environmentalists, governments, businesses, communities, and together we have a solution. We have the technology to deal with end-of-life, non-recyclable plastics.
Plastic pellets enter the machine and make their way to the CRM, where pyrolysis takes place. Most plastic comes from crude oil. This process returns the plastic to its original state. The key to pyrolysis is that the plastics are heated to around 400 degrees Celsius in the absence of oxygen. Under these conditions, the plastic molecules break apart, returning them to the smaller hydrocarbon chains they began as. The hydrocarbon is then cooled and refined to produce road-ready diesel and petrol from sites that are environmentally friendly, clean, quiet, and safe.
We are talking about utilising plastics to support activities that would otherwise require fossil fuels. We are supplying fuel that supports our current daily lifestyles. We are not increasing the use of fuel, but we are ensuring that its use does not further exploit our current scarce resources. We have worked hard to ensure that our solution improves the planet's sustainability. Our solution results in reduced landfill, reduced waste plastics, and reduced exploitation of fossil fuels. It also contributes to locally made fuel, cheaper petrol, and increased employment. It is an Australian-made solution to an international problem. Most importantly, our method of production has been independently verified as reducing our carbon footprint. By reducing our carbon footprint today, we're helping to make a better tomorrow.
We have a solution to this problem right now. But even more so, as a company, we're investing heavily into research and development to be true to our company ethos of cleaning up our planet well into the future. Unfortunately, we're at a critical point right now. This isn't about a problem that might happen, it's about a problem that has happened and is continuing to happen. We need to act now.
We have an obligation to future generations to fix this, and we can. Yes, we have the power to change the future. It's our planet, it's our home, and it's beautiful. Please support us in protecting our future. We are not asking for money, we are just asking you to stay informed. Look at our website, like us on Facebook, support our projects by lobbying politicians. You may even want to buy shares in our publicly listed company. That's up to you. Rest assured, whatever you choose, we at Foy will continue to work through practical solutions to today's plastic pollution problems. The next generation is relying on us. There's a lot of cleaning up to do. We're going to get on with it right now.
Well, that was so informative, Stuart. I don't think we need you up here anymore. No, but we have both of the gentlemen who were quoted or seen in that film here today. Paul Dixon over here, Stuart Clark, who's going to speak, both coming from Australia, as you might have noticed. And Stuart's the managing director of Foy Group, publicly listed, as he mentioned there in the video. And he's also a director of integrated green energy. And both companies are working together to establish commercial and environmentally sustainable solutions. So now you know why I'm going to say that Stuart's presentation is a gas. So come on up.
A bridge to the circular economy, that's a pretty big claim. I'll explain how I get to that. I'll explain our technology, our business, what we offer you and what we want from you. Yeah, that's right, we want something. We're major sponsors of this event, that's why we're here talking to you. We want to talk a little bit about what we need from you, also about what we mean by the circular economy and how Foy plugs into that and how it relates to you. So, as we've been talking about this morning, our current economy is largely linear. Take, make and dispose. At Foy, we're certainly looking beyond the current and we're using the current as our base, our springboard. We accept what we got and we want to reach a better tomorrow, but we also have to work together to get there. Today I'll talk about how we get from the linear to the circular and how we exhaust the useful life of plastic, and in the process how we're finding a way to be restorative and regenerative whilst designing waste out and minimising negative impacts. Our approach, our processes are a huge step forward, and we are absolutely a catalyst for a better tomorrow, a truly circular economy. But there are some challenges. Before I go on about tomorrow, let's talk about today. One thing that is important to point out is that Foy Group is the major sponsor of this Plasticity Forum. So why are we here? Why did we want to talk to you? 3 reasons really. 1, to explain how we fit into the world and to get your support generally. Also to work with the groups in the room to get our message out and find other solutions by joining forces. But most importantly, we need your help to find plastic. Yes, the irony of it is, with all the plastic pollution we have, all that we've talked about, all the landfill, all the hype, all the social media, all the videos about the problems, we struggle to implement our solution across the globe because we can't get the plastic supply to our door. Foy can accelerate the transition to a circular economy, but we need your help. Let's talk about the solution. The solution stems from the fact that plastics are derived from petrochemicals. The video gives a good, okay introduction. It explains pyrolysis is fundamental to our solution, but still I'm not sure who gets it. Even at our own office we have trouble with it. It's a funny word, it's hard to spell. We debate how to pronounce it. The word is coined from the Greek, derived from pyro, fire, and lysis, separating. So I'll give you the elevator pitch on it. Basically, the process is applying heat, 400 degrees Celsius, to plastics in the absence of oxygen in a controlled environment. To be clear, although there is heat involved, it is not incineration. The heat vaporises the plastic and reverts it back to its original state, a light, crude oil. That's basically where our competitors would stop. What we're able to do is to then convert that into a road-ready fuel, road-ready gasoline and diesel that meets or exceeds all the Australian, US and European fuel standards. What the video does not mention is that this is not new. It's been around for many years. We have many competitors and there are many companies that have tried to make a go of it and failed. All current plastics to fuel technologies are essentially pyrolysis, with subtle differences in heating and product purification technology. Foy has selected the best available out of those and added oil refining, refractionation, contaminant removal and emission control technologies into the finished product. Then we arrive at the first of the world's 5th generation plastics to fuel technology. So technically, that's how we do it. That's how we exhaust the useful life of the plastic and minimise waste. But let's look at what we're up against. I've talked about the circular economy, I've talked about working with what we've got today. Let's look at what we're doing to ourselves across the globe and where it's taking us. I know everyone in the room is familiar with the issue of ocean pollution. I won't go on about it, other than to say it's an issue for all of us, and it's something that's close to my heart. I was raised at Bondi Beach and have always lived by the sea, enjoyed the beach lifestyle and water sports. My kids are the same. Most of the people at Foy are the same. Living in Sydney, all the team at Foy are very conscious of what we're doing to our oceans. In my role, I receive a lot of videos talking about the problems of plastics in the sea. Even I was shocked recently when I saw a video showing a turtle that had been pulled out of our iconic and on the surface beautiful Sydney Harbour, the turtle was full of plastics. He'd swallowed it all. Today, the percentages vary a bit, but let's say 80% of plastics consumed is likely to still be in circulation and being diverted to landfill, or being diverted to landfill. Related to waste and the petrochemicals from which they come, there are other ancillary issues in both rich and poor countries with respect to landfill, carbon emissions, fossil fuel reserves. Now, in third world countries, we're close to several in Australia. Over in Asia, the issues are more obvious, as their cities, countryside and waterways are already clearly choked with plastics and other rubbish. This is a growing international problem compounded by competing, conflicting interests, which we've all been talking about this morning. Traditional methods of heavy levies, fines and penalties simply do not work. Let's go back to talking about the solution we're rolling out. The real point of what Foy is doing is by making end-of-life plastics a commodity of significant value, we necessarily reduce the level of plastics pollution on the land and in the sea. That road-ready aspect of the fuel really makes a difference. It is a paradigm shift. It is our silver bullet. It is fundamental to our link to the circular economy. Now, our patented technologies and processes are unique, effective, efficient and commercial. The combination of processes and technologies which form the components of the Foy patents eliminate a range of issues that have tripped up others in the waste plastics to fuel industry, and they've all been contending with historically. Foy's technology, just to summarise, produces a high yield, high quality, high volume output whilst maintaining the lowest possible emission profile. It utilises a wide range of plastic inputs. That means continuity of supply and lower input costs. It processes larger amounts via our unique modular design and allows high-scale continuous processing. That gives us commercial volumes and economies of scale. At the end of it, it produces road-ready fuels. By that, there's no blending. No blending's required, straight from the bowser into the truck or the car, and low sulphur content. We are a publicly listed technology company with a focus on protecting the global environment. We reduce carbon emissions, we have low air emissions at site, we reduce waste plastic, we reduce utilisation of fossil fuels, reduce reliance on overseas imports, improve the defence capabilities and make each territory more self-sufficient. We also put downward pressure on the fuel prices. We can do it for less than the traditional methods. And we provide a commercial return to our shareholders. That makes the solution commercially sustainable. It's a pity the bankers left. Other technologies. Basically, that's the loop they go through. Our unique combination of processes and technologies which form the components of the Foy patents eliminates a range of those issues. Go Google plastics to fuel or pyrolysis. There are a bunch of companies, Sinar, Agilix and others. They create a light, sweet, crude oil. It's not road-ready fuel and they can't do our volumes. They do about 20 tonnes per day. We're talking about 200 tonnes a day. So the difference is our competitors produce an oil that needs to go to third parties, that needs to be further processed. It's an expensive series of steps and we jump it. We go straight from the plastics to the bowser. We skip all of that. The road ready is our silver bullet. For all that, we're more than just technology and processes. As I said, many companies have tried to make a go of it and failed. What we bring to the game, as well as some unique technology, is a disciplined approach and a commitment to control each site. We are not interested in licensing or selling our technology. We will own and manage each site with our business partners. We'll shepherd each one through and ensure the highest standards are met. Our vision, a world in which no plastics pollute the planet and where renewable energy sources are maximised, well, we mean that and we are not going to stop. Now let's talk about some practicalities. The demand for plastics and fuel will not abate soon. That's what we've got to deal with. The demand for plastics is real and growing. The Foy approach does not impact the demand for plastics one way or the other. The plastics Foy utilises are at the end of their life cycle, unrecyclable and destined for waste. Similarly, the Foy approach does not impact the demand for fuel. Using waste plastic to generate fuel simply means that rather than draw on further fossil fuel reserves, we'll utilise waste plastics to convert it to energy, to convert to fuel that was going to be utilised in any case to support our current lifestyles. You probably know that even if we stop manufacturing gasoline and diesel vehicles tomorrow in major countries, it would be decades before all the current vehicles could feasibly be phased out. So this isn't going to go away quickly. So what we're saying is that the Foy solution addresses the issues we have today. We work to mitigate the issues we've got while supporting the current lifestyles, industry and government policy. Yeah, we're out to change the world, but we've got to start with the world that we've got today. You know, although there is concern about plastics pollution and air pollution, what we've come up against today, it's come up in various ways of describing it. Few people are prepared to compromise their lifestyles. And the alternatives are in their infant stages. Right now, a massive number of cars and trucks do many miles fueled by fossil fuels. Our solution allows the end-of-life non-recyclable plastics that would have otherwise gone to landfill to replace that gasoline or diesel. Ours is a real solution now. So I've pitched a bit at you there. Let me just recap. The Foy solution, when integrated with recycling efforts and other steps, will protect our planet. The Foy technology both implements and complements recycling, reuse and redesign. Foy's approach is part of a solution and represents a bridge towards a circular economy. You know, we are for recycling plastics, we are for electronic cars, other alternative fuels, any ongoing action to protect our planet, research, we are for it. We're for any solution to the issues that confront us now, but we are against waiting. We must act now. Part of it is we need to rethink how we dispose of the plastics. We are strong advocates of a stronger push for source separation. Each material being sorted prior to collection. That would be fantastic. Now, I know there's been significant progress with sorting technology, but it's just not being rolled out internationally. And until such time, we've got to avoid this commingled collection. We also can't defer our decisions. We can't debate it for too long. We have to move to reduce the plastics pollution in the sea now. Like that guy said in the video, it's reached a critical point. The fish are eating the plastics and we're eating the fish. We're at the tipping point now. This Foy solution has a potential to have a profound impact, but it is just part of the answer. The community, environmentalists, government and businesses need to work together to find other means to contend with all the environmental issues. We know we are not the only solution, we are not a panacea, but we also know if you give us or sell us all the waste plastics accumulated each day, we'll make a better tomorrow. So what do we need from you? We need from you to help spread our message, support us, work with us to refine our solutions. But the main thing, the overall thing we need from you is plastic supplies, information and contacts. We need to get that plastic. We are not a set and forget model. We have technology, but we're not licensing it, we're not selling it to third parties, we manage its use. We are controlling it and developing it. The R&D is behind us. Together, today we can reduce landfill, reduce plastic waste, reduce carbon emissions, reduce exploitation of fossil fuel reserves. We can make a locally made fuel with a low sulphur content. It's a cheaper fuel, we increase employment. We will continue with ongoing innovation as well as refining our current plastics to fuel technologies, but we have a solution today. From the business perspective, we're rolling out our solution internationally via our business growth model of taking massive action now. This involves developing and protecting our IP, focusing on quality, maintaining a high quality of safety, aesthetics, efficiency and profitability at all sites, providing a good return to shareholders, building our brand, controlling all plants in all jurisdictions and maintaining our core values. We are in this for the long haul, and key to it all is making a level of profit over time so that we are self-sustaining as a business and can reinvest in our company and the local community. We're not asking for financial assistance. We will make a financial contribution to any jurisdiction where we have a site. Why do I tell you all that? To brag? What I'm trying to tell you is we're going to be around for a long while yet. We have a solution today, and we will still be coming up with solutions tomorrow. Again, let's get back to the practicalities of the bridge to that circular economy. 3 basic pillars, I suppose. We need to have the process, we need to have the output, we need to have the input. So what we've got a fully spec-built unit in Australia. I'll talk a bit more about what we've got in Australia with various third-party expert reports, which assist in achieving permits and approvals for our sites in each jurisdiction. I'll talk a bit more about those reports also. Take and pay contracts, that's actually the easiest bit of the business. The sale of road-ready fuel is pretty easily achieved where specification standards are met. The third bit, getting the plastic, surprisingly is the hard bit. Typically our contracts at the moment are with recyclers and aggregators. We intercept the plastic before it goes to landfill. We lock in 10-year fixed price contracts. We need the feedstock delivered to our gate in a palletised, dry and baled format. So the flip side of us putting a value on the plastic is that we're the ones that have to set a price now and have to pay for it. That's okay, we'll create a win-win. We need to get the right price. I'll just mention it again now, we need your help with getting that plastic though. Regarding the third-party verifications, another practicality is getting the necessary approvals and permits in each jurisdiction. Despite the obvious advantages that I've just described, local jurisdictional approval processes can be slow. The third-party reports help, and they also help with financiers and other people as they understand what we do. There's a range of reports that we've paid for and done over the years, but the 3 major ones really are the Health Impact Assessment Report, the HIA is the first one, also Air Emissions Report and Carbon Emission Reports. With the HIA, that confirms that emissions are negligible and not harmful in any way. It's a fairly broad-reaching report. It covers noise, economic environment, deposition of land, critical infrastructure failure, stormwater runoff, transport and traffic, and just to prove that we're not that tough in Australia, it also talks about social aspects of sustainable projects and the feelings of control over life decisions. We get a tick in the box for just about all of those. Any negatives are negligible, and overall the report that's been commissioned concludes there is a net positive impact on the environment at our sites. In terms of air emission reports, there are 2 basic ways to do that. There's an AusPlume method and a CalPuff method. We've done both. Both methods come back to the conclusion that our sites are safe. You could build a baby care centre on our fence line. There is no harm to babies, children, adults, animals or plants from our facilities' air emissions. Finally, on reduced carbon footprint, we commissioned a third-party independent report. It was undertaken by SCS Global Services. They're a sustainability standards company headquartered in California. They've confirmed that the Foy fuel production solution has a reduced carbon footprint. That is, utilisation of post-consumer plastic as feedstock for fuel processing via pyrolysis produces less CO2 emissions than traditional methods of fuel production. To be more specific, the report further states the automotive diesel and gasoline produced using a Foy solution demonstrates over a 38% and 31% reduction in carbon footprint compared to conventional diesel and gasoline respectively. That is, our diesel has a 38% carbon reduction and our gasoline has a 31% carbon reduction. Last few slides, folks. Let's look at the ACT site as a quick case study of a typical site. ACT is one of the leading jurisdictions in waste management in Australia. ACT stands for Australian Capital Territory. As the name suggests, it's our capital. It is like the Washington of Australia. All our politicians are there. Our plastics to fuel technology will complement the government's range of already successful strategies in ACT. A typical site, such as there, is 200 tonnes per day. It's on about 5 acres. We have 4 modules of 50 tonnes per day each. It's got the capacity to produce 18 million gallons of fuel per annum. That's about 55,000 gallons per day. Aesthetically appealing with natural landscape, each module is about the size of a basketball court. The ACT will generate approximately 30 operations staff on an ongoing basis, jobs for people from engineers through to factory workers. There will also be about 50 construction jobs in getting the thing built. The annual operations bill will be approximately $2.25 million per annum. In the first year alone, will contribute $22.5 million to the ACT economy before any multiplier effects. If you add in the multiplier effects, year on year, every year, we'll be injecting about US $11 million per annum into the ACT economy. We are very focused on sustainable waste management. We're also focused on being able to make a sustainable contribution to each territory on a broader economic, educational and reputational level. We're also expanding our global footprint. We're building 4 200-tonne per day sites in the UK in the second half of this year. We're also building a 1,500-tonne per day site in Indiana, which will focus on ASR, with plans for further sites across the US. We've got business partners established in Northern Europe, Hong Kong and China, and we're currently looking at feasibility studies in a range of other territories, particularly in Asia, in third world countries close to our home. Last slide, folks. Doing nothing is not an option. We have a solution now. We want to deal with what we've got, and what we've got today is plastic utilisation increasing at 4% per annum and more gasoline or diesel vehicles than at any other time in our history. We are for the exploration of new ideas and removing unnecessary plastic and fuel consumption, and we are for maintaining lifestyles. Our solution forms part of a tapestry of solutions to protect our planet. Now, what Foy wants from you on the plasticity side of that scale there, we want your support in helping to spread our message, and support in working together to refine solutions. And overall, we want plastic supplies, information and contacts. On the other side of the scale, we have what Foy delivers. We can deliver solutions today: reduce landfill, reduce plastic waste, reduce carbon emissions, reduce exploitation of fossil fuel reserves, locally made fuel, cheaper fuel, increased employment. That all adds up to sustainability, both in terms of the environment and being able to reinvest in our own business to keep it going. And finally, that bridge. A bridge to the entirely circular economy of tomorrow. We'll get there. Thank you for listening. I look forward to talking to you.
Thank you, Stuart. If we could have a couple questions, but I want to just mention...
You didn't warn me about this, Doug.
Following on with the panel on investment in plastic space, I think Foy just got a $100 million investment for some of their new work. So there is money out there looking for these new kind of projects. Anyone have a question back here?
Because, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I'm from Boulder, probably one of the most progressive governments anywhere in, well, the country or the world, really. And we have a lot of investor groups there that I'm a part of, actually, that we build social enterprises, both in the United States and throughout the developing world. This, of course, fits in beautifully. And so what inspires you to go to a community? What is your expansion plans? You're talking about in Indiana, but what about the rest of the United States? And would that be appealing to you to come to Boulder? Because I can, of course, bring you into the community and we can put something together.
Well, really the main things we look for in any jurisdiction are government support and a supply of plastics. Enough plastics to keep the business going. From a basic perspective, that's it. I think every jurisdiction has its problems, and they're not hard to find. But really, if we can get government support, reasonably priced land, and that plastic supply where we can be guaranteed around 200 tonnes per day, then we're happy to move forward. Our standard model is 200 tonnes per day. As we say in Indiana, we're doing 1,500 tonnes per day. Big is good, but we want to be there year in, year out to keep it working. So that's fundamentally it. And then it's just a question of us getting to it and getting our resources there.
I would just make a comment that there are 50 states in the United States of America, and all 50 act differently. And the laws and regulations in each of them often create hurdles for new technologies like these that sometimes could be getting in but can't because of environmental impact assessments, which are maybe outdated in the way that things are could be incorporated. So even though it sounds good that you have a lot of material, sometimes the laws in those states make it a little bit slower than maybe it could be otherwise. Did you have a question?
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Stuart. Steve Davies, we're a plastics producer, actually a bioplastics producer. Really interested in what you were sharing. Just sort of a basic question on your sourcing strategy. Clearly, you have a plea for plastics as a source, as your feedstock. How do you look at different regions? You mentioned some third world regions you're interested in, but those seem the most challenging, and that there is a collection issue. It's not stuff going to landfill. We wish it were going to landfill. It's going to the landscape.
Yeah.
What about countries like Taiwan, one of the most advanced EPR schemes in the world? We export our plastics in there. Our customers pay a substantial recycling fee. Those fees apply to all plastics and result in a tremendous collection infrastructure ready for you, you'd think. Same in Western Europe, where there are advanced extended producer responsibility schemes where plastics are collected. Why not look there? The US is particularly bad in this regard with very poor collection and infrastructure. But that said, the US does have an end market problem now with the green fence and a lot of mixed plastics with nowhere to go. So what's your sourcing strategy, I guess is the question.
We're still working through that, I guess, is the honest answer. The US we focused on because of the high volumes and because there's some similar thinking in terms of culture and language. There's less barriers. Although the government processes are slow, we sort of understand them. The Asian countries, they always, when you dig under the surface, they always have another layer of complexity. So although we're keen to get into Asia, it's tough. We've spent a bit of time on China, for example. Similarly, we've spent a bit of time on Indonesia. We haven't spent any time on Taiwan. So each territory has its own problems. We've got business partners in Germany and France who are looking at the options in Northern Europe. And yes, they are much more sophisticated over there, but again, they don't have all the answers either. So we're looking at everything. And each territory has its own idiosyncrasies, and that's why we have basically a strategy of forming relationships and business partners in each territory so that they can help us work through it. Each one has its own idiosyncrasies.
Thank you. One unrelated question. What are you looking for with feedstock? A monomaterial of, say, a PET or HDPE or PS, polystyrene, or mixed, 3 through 7 bales?
Largely mixed. There's very few plastics that we can't take. We can't take Teflon and we can't take PVC. Other than that, we can take everything. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean. We can take some organics. The cleaner and the less organics, the higher the yield. But basically, we can take most plastics, a broader range of plastics than our competitors.
Thank you.